Have you ever felt like your brain has a mind of its own when you're shopping? Well, you're not wrong. Today, we're going to dive deep into the hidden science of your wallet. We're talking about why some purchases feel totally painless and why others kind of sting. Let's get right into it. So, think about this for a second. Why is it that when you tap your card for a $5 coffee, it barely registers, right? It almost feels free. But if you have to pull out a physical $5 bill, you actually pause. It feels costly. It's the exact same amount of money. So what is going on inside our heads? That's the big puzzle we're here to solve.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to really break down that cash versus card puzzle. Then I'll introduce you to the core concept that explains everything, your brain's pain of paying. After that, we'll look at how this plays out with actual cash and then with credit. And finally, we'll uncover a really fascinating, kind of scary thing called the dopamine debt trap.
So let's start right there, with that feeling, that hesitation you get with cash. But the total ease of just tapping a card? You need to know that is not just you. It's a real universal psychological thing, and it points to a massive bias that's hardwired into our brains.
Okay, now for the main event. The key that unlocks this entire mystery is a scientific concept, and it's called the pain of paying.
So what is it? Here's the wild part. Neuroscientists have found that the act of spending money can trigger actual discomfort in our brains. It's a real, measurable feeling of unease that we get when we physically, hand over our money. A really great way to picture this is to think of it as psychological friction. Yeah, it's like a mental speed bump. It's your brain's natural little braking system that just forces you to slow down and ask yourself, hey, is this really worth it?
So how does this whole friction idea work with good old cash? Well, it turns out that paying with cash creates the most friction. And this is where it gets really interesting.
I mean, just think about the whole process, right? You have to open your wallet, you physically see your stash of money getting smaller, you count out the bills, and then you actually hand it over to someone else. Every single one of those little steps reinforces the feeling that you are losing something.
And here it is, the scientific kicker. Brain scans show that when you hand over cash, it activates the insula. That's a part of your brain that processes, get this, physical pain, disgust, loss. So your brain literally registers paying with cash as a small, painful event. Isn't that wild?
Okay, so let's flip the coin. What about credit cards, debit cards, Apple Pay? If cash is full of all this painful friction, plastic is specifically designed to be perfectly and kind of dangerously smooth. It's built to completely short-circuit that natural pain response.
I mean, just look at this contrast. It's night and day. With cash, your brain's pain centers are lighting up. It feels like a real, tangible, immediate loss. But with a credit card, the complete opposite happens. The reward center of your brain activates. The purchase feels like you're gaining something. And the actual pain of paying? Oh, that's delayed for weeks until the bill shows up.
See, the act of swiping a card or tapping your phone, it's abstract. There's no physical loss to register. The payment is basically invisible. This completely separates the pleasure of getting something new from the pain of paying for it. So your brain just focuses on the good part, the immediate reward, with pretty much zero immediate downside.
And this all leads us to our final and maybe most important point. This whole frictionless system, it feels amazing in the moment, but it sets up a pretty dangerous trap for our brains. It's a cycle that's tied to that feel-good chemical, dopamine, and scientists are starting to call it the dopamine debt trap.
So let's ask the question, what happens when our brains get totally used to this constant stream of easy, frictionless rewards? What's the real long-term cost of removing all that healthy friction from the act of spending?
Well, you fall into what's called dopamine debt. Your brain basically gets hooked on the quick, easy dopamine hit it gets from a frictionless purchase. And because of that, more responsible financial choices, like saving money or paying down debt, they just don't provide that same chemical buzz. So they feel harder and way less appealing. It's a neurological loop that, trust me, credit card companies understand very, very well.
And this chart shows you exactly what's happening in your head. When you buy something with a card, your brain puts a huge value on that short-term reward, but it almost completely ignores the long-term cost, because that pain is abstract and way off in the future. It creates this massive imbalance in our decision-making. So what's the big takeaway from all this? First, and this is huge, just understand that your spending habits are not just about self-control. They are literally shaped by deep brain wiring. Second, you have to recognize that these frictionless payment systems are designed to take advantage of that wiring. But here's the good news. Just being aware of all this, that's the first, most powerful step toward making more conscious financial choices.
So, I'll just leave you with this one thought. Now that you know your brain has this built-in bias, this love for the easy reward of a card, how are you going to choose to pay next time? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.